Rawat is an Azure MVP, MCT, and author of Azure Interview Question and Answer book. He has more than 15 years of experience in the industry. He is in different kind of domain like architecture, development. He is also in consultancy and design expertise. He likes to share his knowledge. Basically, he believes to spread the knowledge. Whatever he learn, whatever he study, he love to explore the technical world, specifically to Azure world, and try to always spread his knowledge. So he is also managing this stuff using a Telegram group called Azure Talk Community. You will get a Telegram link in the chat window, and he is also running few meetup groups. He has written number of tremendous articles on Microsoft Azure. He has a renowned MVP in Microsoft. So today he is going to let us know about the Microsoft Azure security and governance. We Most of us are aware about Azure, what is Azure, how to configure, how to use Azure, but this is a very niche area where Azure security and governance came into picture. So let's enjoy the whole session. We will take a question after the session, and if you have any kind of query in middle of the session, please type or raise your hands. We will take your question one by one. There will be an announcement at end of this session. So please be with us and enjoy the session. Over to Lalit.
Yep. Thank you so much for introduction, and let's just get started. As you can briefly give my introductions, so let's just get started on that part. So we'll be discussing today on Azure security and the governance. And thank you so much for joining, all of you. Hope in this situation, you and your family safe out of there, and then. As introduced by Tarun. I've been Microsoft MVP and then blogger and then running this Azure Talk community, working as a solution architect and doing this blogging. It's just in a small introductions of me, and then let's just get started with the sessions, and we'll be discussing what are the challenges and what are the things you'll comes into your Azure Security Centers part, including in the governance. Like we know how to deploy the services, how to use of those services, but how we are going to govern those services, what are the policies we are going to implement, how we are going and assessing the security related steps, including your either it could be in IaaS or the SaaS or software services, right? And there's this couple of other options will also be there, right, which we will be discussing, and then how we are going to utilize, and then I will have a demo as well, so it's not just in theoretical sessions. We'll do have a demo as well, and I'll be showing you how the security center will work, what are the policies and the other stuffs you will implement, what are the concerns you have, then what were the questions you have. All of those stuffs we'll just take it, and then let's start. So basically, why the Azure governance is needed, right? Uh, if things will come into the picture, why this Azure governance is needed, because in terms of control, like I see many customers, they just go deploy the services in place, right? Or what will happen? Like whenever they deploy in VM, the services and all of those stuff they deploy, but they don't have any things to govern those services, right? Someone will come, okay, I need an VM. You give it some size of the VM, right? And that will be a huge cost. This is also a government part. Let's just say you spin up the VM or few of the services, which is with the public IP, right? How those public IP will be interacting with the outside of the world. You enable internet on the NSG, right? They're just going and connecting, and you are enabling those things for the hackers to come and get connected, right? So there is a lot of other securities prospects, and the major part is how we're going to control. Let's just say in any of the countries there's in government, right? They'll just put in control and the policies. The similar way as an Azure administrator or as an Azure security architect or as an Azure security admin, we have some rights to put those policies in place, so my environment and all of those stuffs will not be there out, right? So it's not be accessible by the publicly. Let's just say if we have an home, right? We can't allow everyone to come in our home and then say what do whatever we want. We put in the lock and the door and all the security measures, the stuffs, right? So that's where the subscription is. Like when you have a subscription, you create a subscription, but for that you have to put some rules where anyone or outside of the world people cannot enter to our applications if they do whatever other stuffs, right? If you can see, there's couple of things which has happened. Even the data breach would be the Facebook. You just name the bigger company, including the Google or the Microsoft, and all of most of the companies. There was some or other breaches are there because there is the security gaps in between, and then hackers get into that, right? So there's a lot of financial institutions are there, the healthcare, the hardware companies, the product based companies, all of those companies now they are moving and transforming to the cloud and to the newer world, right? And that place what you have to do is you have to put some controls over where you can control like who is coming into my organizations, who is coming and logging to my services, what are the policies we run, what kind of the sizes we run, what are the services we need it, what does we don't need it, what are the locations we have, how we are putting control on that using the MFA or the conditional access or kind of security governance kind of steps, and all of those things we are just going and discussing here. So let's just move to the second slide. As I have already mentioned and those points to be covered, why the governance is needed to organize and structure the resources, standardize and define the resources. Transparency is a most important part of the resources. What are the resources we wanted to deploy and then do a lot of steps, right? How are you going to control the access and the cost, and how are you going to enforce the policies, right? So this is the governance part, right? And Azure governance basically this covers into the governance, secure, protect, and then configurations and then monitor. These are the five areas which will help you to cover your complete governance parts, right? How we can, secure our environment, right? There's a security management, the threat protections, the RBAC rule, which we can implement throughout the subscriptions. And then once those roles will be there, we can see how we can do the patching and how we can update the security rules and all of those things will be which we can see in the demo. Protect, you will have an if you wanted to protect your resources, let's just say someone has created something, right? And then delete something, what will happen? You cannot recover those so fast, right? For that, you need in backup, you need in data recovery, you need in encryption, disk encryptions, including the services encryptions, data encryptions, and kind of other stuffs, right? Whereas you have a monitoring. Without monitoring, like someone can enter to your house or enter to your subscriptions, how will you know, or how you can take in proactive actions on that part, right? So that is another important part. And then configurations, let's just say you deployed some VM but there would be a security update, how you going to doing the patching, how you automating those things, how you are scripting it to make sure that whenever the patches will come, the security patches will come, you wanted to update or configure the no new security things, right? Earlier in web applications we have like TLS 1.0, now we have 1.2, right? So those are the major changes are there. Now you can see this HTTP 2 is also coming up, and then there's in one more things, right? So all of those, the services and this modernization services are really growing, right? And then governance, we'll be discussing on the policy management, cost management, and the blueprint, how you're going to implement all of those services in terms of to manage and govern your services. There is two things. One is subscription and another one is tenant, right? So what is subscription and the tenant? Subscription comes under the tenant. So tenant is a superior one, right? So in you can say in terms of tenant is equal to your Azure Active Directory, because whenever you log in with the subscription or you just try and create a new subscription, first is just get authenticated with the Azure AD, and it will have on Microsoft.com your ID, right? Whatever your company name and whatever those things, and later on we are putting in custom domain kind of other stuffs, right? So what we can do is in this Azure AD, you'll associate the multiple of subscription, and then Azure AD is equal to your tenant, right? And both the role has been segregated separately. So there is a lot of confusion. So no, what is what my tenant will does and what is my subscription does, right? So tenant is something which manages from the user level, where you have a users, groups, computers, your applications will register. Mainly it is used for your authentications and the authorizations part. Whereas subscriptions being used to deploy your resources. Let's just say you wanted to deploy in your services, you wanted to deploy your VMs or the PES SQL or managed SQL, and whatever other steps you wanted to do it, right? So all of those things will comes into the subscriptions. So now these both the roles being segregated, and we'll be discussing onto the next slide, next couple of slides, right? What are the cloud governance and the security responsibility in terms of what Microsoft will commitment and what is our joint responsibility as an right as an customer, right? So let's just say there is a lot of stuff. The same way you buy a house in some apartment, there's a shared responsibility between you and the builder, right? Similarly with the Microsoft Cloud would works, right? So the Microsoft will have a physical assets which is there in the Microsoft data center. What are the data centers and then cloud infrastructure? What are the layer in terms of IaaS, PaaS, and the SaaS, which will be managed by in Microsoft data centers, and it is completely governed, and then auditing and all of those things are happening, and which is the Microsoft commitment that your services, these services will be up and running at any time. Whereas what is our responsibilities whenever we are deploying an VM, right? So if you can go through these models, right? Whereas 40% till to the virtualization layer, Microsoft manages. After that, you're deploying in your operating systems, either in a Windows, Linux, and whatsoever, and then deploying your application. So, what are other things you have to take care? You have to take care of the backup, the who will access to your VM, who can log into your VM, right? What are the NSG rules to be put in? Same for your platform as a services, and to the data, how you're going to back up your data, what are the how what are the configurations are, right? How you're going to put in control on that, what are the intelligence you are going to put in, all of those stuffs will be there, right? So this is the Microsoft and customers joint responsibilities will be much easier. But from the data center prospects, from the hardware layer or to the virtualizations layer, based on those models, Microsoft is equally responsible as you are. So whenever you're deploying something and you just say no, everything will be taken care by Microsoft, no, it's not right. It's a shared responsibility which Microsoft and then customer has to take care, right? So apart from that, you'll have an responsibility zone. What could be the responsibility zone between an customer and the Microsoft? Whereas in on-premises, right, all of those things will be managed by the customer. Either it could be in terms of data governance, right management, client end protections, right, account access management, identity directory infrastructure, and all of those stuffs, right? But when it is comes from the IS pairs in terms of SaaS, software as a services, right? The data governance, right management, and then client end protections, account access and the management, right? These are all those 3 points will be retained by the customer, because whenever you putting your data, it's your right to manage your data, how you wanted to encrypt, how you wanted to secure your data, right? But if you comes into the lower part, right, into the pairs or into the sales, right, which is varies by the services, and then if you see the physical host network and the physical data center, which will be completely owning by the Microsoft. Whereas in applications, network control, and the virtual operating systems, which varies by the services, what are the services you will be utilizing, right? So it's all depend how you what are those criteria to be there, and based on that, those roles and the responsibilities zone been decided between the customers as well as to the Microsoft, right? Again, varies from the customer color is in dark blue, and then Microsoft color is light blue, and then rest of is retained by customers. How our security centers will help, right, in that all of those. So security centers is not as in your deployment tool, it is just in monitoring tool, right? Where you are going and monitoring your resources in terms of what are the pest services you have, the governance services. Let's just say if you wanted to have a network security, right? What are the NSG rule as an internet connectivity? What are the virtual network does not have the DDoS protections and kind of other stuffs? Whereas in database security, if someone has tried to run a few of the things from the GitHub and probably they put in the credentials there, or let's just say if the SQL database is not an encrypted or someone is trying to run the web query and kind of other stuffs, all of those alerts will come into the database security. Then in terms of you come into the application security where you can manage your application security, let's just say load balancers, application gateway, and the traffic manager. If you're running some web apps, then my security center will suggest those are the web apps does not have the load balancer. There might be a chances that hacker can hack you those things. Then it comes with the subscription where you can manage your subscription using the rollback and then rollback access, and then you'll have an resource log and then subscription policies, which I'll be describing into this sessions. And then monitoring resources you have, where you will be using your application insights, Azure Monitor, Log Analytics to monitor all of those things, what is going to happen. And then you'll have an identity and access, whom you wanted to give access, what are the access you needed, what are the conditional access you have, the MFA you will enable, the password policies you just enforce, and what are the device could be registered to your Azure ID. All of those stuffs will comes into the identity and then access management. And in terms of an operational security, it is really important. What are the patches has to be implemented, right? If there is in work, how you're going to fix those. So those all of those stuffs. If let's just say someone is uh, unknowingly they are accessing your some of the VMs and kind of other. So all of those things will come into this operation security, and then the trust center, which has all the audit logs, including your Microsoft data center audit logs, and then the compliance management and all of those stuff. So I'll be showing in this as well on this particular demo. So let's just discuss on what is an Azure Blueprint and how it will help you in your session, right? So Azure Blueprint basically it's used for the various part, right? It will also use for your let's just say for the deployment. It is used to manage your multiple of let's just say policies. Let's just say ISO governance. You wanted to block something or you wanted to deploy something. The role based access kind of other stuff, which we're going to showing into the demo. And even you just define in one blueprint into the deployment management, and you can deploy to the multiple subscriptions at the once. Or let's just say there are few services which you wanted to deploy to the multiple subscriptions, which you can do it from the Azure Blueprint Plus and the management group, which I'll be describing it, right? So what Azure Blueprint does is it will ask you to help you to define the rollback access control. It will help you to put your ARM template and then policy definitions and all of those stuffs, right? So basically, it's provide you the security deployment by packaging your environment artifacts and the RBAC and then policies. And what are the benefits? It has an account management. You need a least privilege. You can remotely access. You can audit, review, and analysis your reports, right? And it provides an identifications and authentications who created, who modified, and then it provides an DDoS detections and then vulnerability scanning. Let's just say if you wanted to scan your subscription based on the HIPAA policies, right? uh, those are all of those things is there, those policies are there which we can implement, and then based on that it will assess and give you the report saying that these are the policies which is non-compliant, these are the policies are compliant, right? And what does is Azure Advisor and then Operations Excellence. These are the old feature, but the Operations Excellence comes into the picture. It will Advisor will give you an recommendations that how you're going to save your cost, what are the security recommendations, and then what are the performance and then operations excellence. Let's just say if some of the resources are not functioning properly or there are some issues with something, then it will say this is my recommendations, and if you utilize this it will help you in this further, right? So which all of those things will be coming up in into the demo part. What does your trust center, right? It helps you in your trust. reporting, and it helps you, compliance manager, audit reports, privacy. It provides you the transparency and GDPR compliance and the compliance offering. Basically, Azure Trust Centers has all those reports in place where you can just go and download for your auditing and then compliance prospects. And I'll show you what are those reports. You can just going and downloading either from the Microsoft Data Center, and let's just say if you have a government customers in US, Australia, or probably in China, and all of those things. So those governments audits will also be there. So that is happening. And then if you wanted to download and SOC report also, that is all will be there in your Azure Security Centers, right? So these are all those things are there. And then the compliance managers, once you log into the Azure compliance managers, if you wanted to add like Azure GDPR or Azure ISO 2014 and then 13 kind of, all those default policies will be there. You can add those groups into your compliance manager board, and then based on that, it will connect to your subscription. And for that, you would require in your organization ID, which required in compliance administrator or the compliance organizer rights in your Azure AD. And once you got that, you will be able to configure it. So I'll just show you that how I configure it, and then how you're going to configure it. And you can, it is a little bit slow, but it's as it's in preview, it is lot of improvements are there. And then Microsoft is working on really hard on that to get all of those reports. And I can see there's a lot of other stuffs to be added in that part. Now we can discuss on this management groups, right? How the management groups will help. So management group is nothing but just your, you can say, just in group where you can, attach to your subscriptions. Similarly, to you can say as a president, right? So president is nothing but just passes the rule, and then literally it will be inherited to the resource group, to the prime minister, and then the minister, and couple of other stuffs, right? Similarly, you can say is a management group is nothing but which manages your complete subscription. Let's just say in a one directory, if you have hundreds of subscription, how are you going to manage, right? If you wanted to implement and one policies towards the organizations, how are you going to put those steps, right? So the management group will help you to assign and those particular subscription to the management group, and then you can create those resources. And the resource group, let's just say you want one policy, let's just say you wanted to lock all the resources. If you applied on the management group, it will inherit it to a subscription to the resources and to the VMs. And basically, you wanted to audit your cost, right? How it will does. So you apply in that policy in the management group, and then your all the costs and all the emails will come to your into the one policies which can applied in there, right? You can manage multiple management groups. So whenever you create in one first management group, will take around 15 minutes, but that will be the root management group. Under that, you can create the multiple management group and associate it to the subscription. As is similarly, if you guys knowing it, the Azure like on-premises Active Direct AD, it is similarly to your forest, and then you are defining the domain and then child domain and kind of other stuff. So if you put some policies on the forest label, it will be inherited all, right? So just an inheritance part which you can see, right? And it'll have a management group creation. How are you going to create those management group, right? So in that, if you just go to the subscriptions, click on just search for the management group, click on create new, and just you have to provide the name as per shown in the graph, right? So you just provide the management group ID and then the display name, and then you can inherit the policies. What is an Azure policies basically are Azure policy basically help you to create, assign, and manages your policies, which will help you in your to run your evolutions and scans your non-compliance resources. Where the advantage you can enforce and comply your environment, you apply those policies at the scale level and the remediations parts, right? So all of those steps you can do, and how you're going to implement. So first of all, you need to browse the policies definitions, create the initiative definitions, scope the initiatives, and then you can view our policies, evolutions, results, and all of those things. Will look out into the demo part. So if you can see this, these are the policies defined. Even you can, if you wanted to import from the GitHub, yes, you can import those policies from GitHub, right? And those policies, you can put your custom policies. Let's just say you wanted to audit the VMs which does not have the managed disk and kind of other stuffs. Whereas you have a non-compliant initiatives, let's just say I put it this that audit the VMs does not use the managed disk, right? Then my all the VMs are there. So basically, all of those policies and the resources which will put into your subscriptions, and once you put it, then that will audit and it will tell you where are the gaps, because you cannot manage thousands of the resources to manage and go in each resource and see whether the service is being encrypted, not encrypted, the VMs being used, the backed up, or there's a production VMs or whatsoever. Like it does not, cover and pretty much part where you can just go and do it all of those stuffs manually. Where there's in the compliance part, Azure policies will come into the picture. And then how this RBAC role will work, right? So RBAC roles basically you'll have in kind of three things. Whereas I'll have an owner, contributor, and the reader. And the new one is the one more role which is come is the, you can say, admin access, kind of user admin role. So whereas owner will has the full access, contributor cannot assign the access to anyone, whereas owner can, and the reader just in the read access, right? So what that, how this RBAC role will assign, if you put it those rollback on the subscription level, then it will be inherited to resource group and to the resources. Whereas if you put those role onto the resource group, then in the resource group and the resource label, let's just say VM or the services being deployed, right? And those all of those stuffs will be there, right? Whereas you put in, right, all of those stuffs will be there. So those things, if you assign it to one particular VM, the user can able to access only those particular VMs or the services, right? So these are all of those things. So basically, you can deploy your services or grant an access on the subscription level, resource group, or a specific side. Let's just say there is some users are there, right? And they really wanted to, access and DevOps, or let's just say SQL Management Studio. Then you can go to their IAM and then assign those roles, which I'll just show you in this demo in a couple of minutes. Where else you can put in the resource tag, which used to, first of all, identify these are the resources being tagged to which projects and to the which department and which to environment, right? And how you're going to put into the build to, right? What are the resources? Let's just say you have thousands of resources, right? And you will be running HR, IT, and then multiple of department and multiple products, right? How you can segregate which resources belongs to them? They'll say no, this resources doesn't belongs to me, this belongs to them, right? So what you can do is you can just tag it those department environment, and then whom you wanted to put, you can put in the billing center, right? And their IDs. So at the end of the day, when you just pull out the reports, you will easily understand that what are those tags are there, and based on that you can do those billings, and even it's identify which department it is. Even it helps you in the operations part, because let's just say if some issues there in your applications, how you're going to identify it belongs to whom. So the resources tag is help you in the various parts in terms of billing, operations, and then identifications of the resources, and to even optimizations, because these applications are not working much. Then you can just go and connect to their owners and then ask him to reduce the size of those applications, kind of other stuff, right? Then terms of come into the cost management, where it'll have in Azure subscriptions, and which has the cost analysis. So what does cost management does is basically it will analyze your cost, it will monitor your budget and alert you when you reach to the certain limit. Let's just say if I have a $100 of budget, right? uh, and then I have utilized my 60%, let's just say $60. And then if I configured an alert, I'll got it. Let's just say, but if I didn't configure it, something on the budgeting part, what will happen? Like I will be over utilized, right? So when you put those alert, let's just say if your 50% will be there, then what will happen that you can get an alert, so you can be ready that your budget is this much and only you are going to consume this, so you can reduce the sizes of the services, or probably you can do some optimizations which can help you those services will be optimized. Then basically these are the cloud standard structure for your services, and few of the best practices which you can utilize for your cloud projects, and where you can complying the data classifications, you're encrypting your sensitive data, identity and access management, and then due intelligence to be performed, the right to audit, to know your what is your PI data, and what are the SLA, and then access cloud provider, the security controls. So all of those, the limit of the resources, how you're going to monitoring your cloud provider and the security controls, all of those stuffs which if you can put it and you are going and utilizing those cloud standard structure, it will certainly help you to improve your governance as well as in your security part, where you can make sure your services will be healthy and they won't hacked by someone, or probably it won't interrupt your services at all, and you can lose your businesses, right? And there are, you can taking snapshots of those if you want. There's a few of the link which you can go through it, and these are the link where I found are really helpful. And thank you so much for this session, and then we'll just walk through the demo part as well. And this is my blog is in Azure for you, and this is my community which I will be working in. I have written this book which published by .NET Tricks, right? So you can just go through it, and I'll just go through the demo part, and I'll cover as much as I can, right? So let's just give me a couple more minutes, right? So okay, so I'll just walk you through what is this Azure AD, and then the difference between the subscription role. So for if I wanted to see this Azure Active Directory, right, I'll just go into the
Hey, Lalit,
roles administrator
uh,
here.
so
Yep,
sorry to interrupt you. Gaurav this side. Can
sure,
we
Gaurav.
take few questions before we going to demo?
Yes, again. Yep,
Okay. Let me take a couple of questions.
sure.
Yeah, there is Mr. NG Roberts is asking what is account standardization? What all points to be considered? Like while we are discussing about Azure governance, so what comes to account standardizations here?
Okay, so why we are discussing on the governance part, right? The first of all, when you deploy something into your subscriptions, what does this happen? Just as a services you deployed, right? But how you're going to manage and control it? If you don't manage and control, what will happen? Anyone will come and log into it, right? Then where is the governance? How you're going to put the controls? Right? Similarly, you can see this COVID-19, right? The governments put in control saying that you have to follow the lockdown, and everyone follows. And then who doesn't follows, they are in some problems, or like whatever it is. So you are just putting those controls where you can save the your services in the environment in terms of the governance, right? So it is similarly to that. And what it does is, like, when you have something in hand, you deployed your hundreds of services and the environment. But if you don't have any control and you have a hundreds of administrator, or let's just say anyone access those, they can accidentally delete also services. Let's just say if someone has deleted some of the production environment, what will happen? Who is the responsible for it, right? That's where the governance comes into the picture. Let's just say if someone is created some VM with the public IP and open for the internet, where you have a PI data, right? and that will be exposed to the internet. Your customer, your environment customer data will be accessed by someone, or only someone is trying and hack your VM, and inside it they'll access your complete environment and put some ransomware, and they'll ask for money. Right? How you can control all of those? That's where the governance comes into the picture. Hope you got your answers.
Yeah, great, great. There is one more interesting question. Maybe many of us are willing to ask the same questions. Like we were saying that governance is related to some kind of setting up policies and govern our Azure resources. So a question from Mr. Dinesh, he's asking, does governance only mean to set up policies and govern my Azure resources, or it is something else beyond the setting up my policies?
All right. Like the one point is correct. First of all, to setting up the policies, and the second one is to take an initiative, whatever the policies you have defined, right? Let's just say you're going into some office. Let's just say if I'm walking through the office, we have an access card, right? If we don't swipe in, it won't allow us to go inside, right? And then make my attendance. And inside there is a different rule, right? Similarly, to this governance, we are setting up the policies and we are saying those services to come in and see what are the traffics we wanted to allow, what are the our customers, what are our businesses users or the applications administrator we wanted to allow and configure and deploy those resources, and then we follow those parts apart, right? So all of those, how we put those policies, let's just say how we are going to put those stuffs into our on-premises environment similarly to Azure, right? We don't allow anyone inside to the data center, right? And there is a different thing. Similarly, in Azure also, you have to put those controls. Until unless you don't put those policies and the control and take an initiative to mitigate, because policies will help you to identify where is the gaps. Once you got the gaps, you have to take an action against it and to mitigate those issues, right? That's where the governance will comes into the picture. Otherwise, if you miss one of the access or one of the gaps, there will be hundreds of users will come in, and then people are waiting outside there. And nowadays, you can see this, the security breach is compared to earlier days is little bit high. That's where these policies and the compliance will comes into the picture.
Great, great. Hope Dinesh will get his answer. So
Yep.
there is one more relevant question to there. Like we all are, most of us are developers. Like we develop the resources, we develop the program, and we write some kind of little softwares. So our next question from again from Dinesh. He is asking, as a developer, why should I care about the Azure governance? Is it my responsibility to make the policies, etc.? So might be this question is more related to a developer. So
That's a
uh,
really
yeah. So
reality.
how we can take this like if I'm a developer who is developing some kind of .NET Core application or some kind of other stuffs like microservice applications, and
Right.
I have just to deploy, and my role is finished there. So do I really need to consider the Azure governance?
Right. So let's just say you really don't need it as per your role, but when it comes for the digitalizations and if you're deploying some things to the Azure, right? You would really care about because your data is coming to the public cloud, right? Because Azure is not in the private cloud, it's a public cloud, right? Where most of the endpoints are in publicly. So when you deploy something to your web applications, your code should be encrypted, right? You should be aware of how you are put the, how you can put your code into the encryption method, right? And let's just say you're developing something, then you should know how your user will encrypt, use those data into this authentications method. When you are like developing the code, you just develop something, right? Let's just say if your code is not secure and you deploy something, it can be accessed by anyone, right? And then there it's your responsibility to When you are deploying something, you should encrypt your code, use the OS connectivity because your applications which is there in Azure, it should be connecting to the Azure AD and getting authenticating to it, right? And then whenever you're deploying some code, you will be using in CI/CD kind of stuff or probably some other stuff. So deploying a code is just not, you just go and deploy the code because you guys are expert on that. But it's our also responsibility to how we are going and deploying those codes and what are while developing, what are the security measures we can take it across to say that if you are putting something, let's just say you are making a database connections, right? You cannot put user ID and the password in this. You are going and put into the encryptions part, right? Or if you wanted to connect some Azure endpoint, how you are going to securing those endpoints to connect to the portal or to your services. That's where for you as a governance comes in. Though even it's a small role, but yeah, it should be the same for you as well if you wanted to move forward to the digitalizations part and be a part of Azure journey. Hope your answers been clear.
Yeah, great, great. Next is Shushant. Shushant, please unmute yourself. Actually, he wants to ask something.
No issues.
Hi Lalit, good evening. How are you?
Hey, Susan. Good.
So
Yeah,
great to
tell
hear
me.
you back. So I have a question regarding a policy creation.
Yep.
Yeah. So last day I was going through the policy creation effect. So I couldn't understand the effect of audit if not exist and deploy if not exist. So I would like to ask you about the difference while creating a custom policy. So can you please explain me what is the difference between the audit if not exist and the deploy if not exist?
See, audit is not exit. Will only will go and audit your whatever the resources are there based on your policies, right? Whereas, if you just say as in deploy, right? Deploy not exist, right? That will just go and check the deployment part of your the part of your services. Let's just say you wanted to deploy and tag, right? The tag should be go and implement to all of those. In that case, that deploy will come, right? Just you wanted to audit your subscriptions and the policies. At that time, you can put this audit kind of stuff. So just go and only get this read data and then give you the access, right? Hope this is clear.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much, Lalit.
Yeah, thanks, Sushant.
So, anyone else, if you have any kind of query, please type in chat box or raise your hands. So, Lalit, I think we are good to go with our demo.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful questions and hope we have cleared your answers. So let's just say, like you have in roles, right? So in this, you'll have a roles in administrator, right? Whereas if you can see, right, here you can't see any of the owner. You can see all of the Azure AD related roles, whereas an application administrator, developer, authentication administrator, right? And I can say, user administrator and all of, right? So those roles are your, Azure AD, the applications related stuffs to you wanted to Office 365 or Exchange related stuffs, which will be managed at the tenant level, right? But if you wanted to manage on the subscription, that the same ID will be inherited to the subscriptions, right? So let's just say if I wanted to have those subscriptions label, the IDs, whatever the whenever you give in access, the IDs first should be registered to the Azure AD, and then only you will be able to provide those access, right, to there. So here, what I'll do is I'll just go to IAM and then I'll just click and then click on Azure, right? So what I'll do is if I just go and then here I can have owner, contributor, and the reader. Like you can see the multiple even services wise role we have. So let's just say if I wanted to give in storage, right? So you can see there's a storage account contributor and kind of the blob data and kind of other role which we can do. And then here is my ID which will be inherited from the Azure Active Directory, right? So here is two things. And one more, the major difference is the people cannot assume if you have an Azure Active Directory access, you would have a subscription access to, right? It's happened in the down the line of 2 to 3 years, but not now. If you have an Azure AD access, the tenant access, you will be able to see this those AD part. But if you have a subscription access, then what will happen? You will have on only the subscription access, right? That's so there is nowhere related. So both are the separate part. This is one. So there's a major part here, and then apart from that, people ask to show some monitoring Azure monitor part, right? So I'll just walk you through the few of the demo parts, right? Even Azure Monitor is vast now, and then you can monitor. Let's just say if your service health is not working, most of the cases, what will happen? Microsoft complete data center is down sometime. Like you can see those maintenance alerts and all, but you are not aware of that. How you can get those alerts? So you can create those health services alert and then add your whatever the services you are consuming in your subscriptions, right? And once you're consuming those services, what will happen? You can get those alerts if Microsoft raises any of the maintenance, right? So you don't have to look out them. And if you can see, right, there is a one maintenance which they planned, but it does not mean that all the service maintenance will impact your services. So if you can see, this is one maintenance which is there. Let me just expand this, right? And here you can see that what are the affected resources. So if I'll just click on the virtual machines here, it just directed me to this VMs might impact, but it is not sure that that is going and impacting my services. So that's where you can see this in the monitoring part, that how you are in. It is really really important, because as you are growing fast, it will be kind of those things.
Uh,
Whereas it'll have a yep.
yeah, hi Lalit, I have a question. So can I
Yes,
ask it right
Ashish.
now, or should I wait for complete you?
I just wait for 5 more minutes
Okay,
and then we'll
sure,
take
sure.
the questions.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, so then you'll have an web workbook which we introduced recently, where you can the virtual machines, the key metrics, performance, and the availability you will get. So if you wanted to look out some of the performance of your VMs, you can just go and get all of those data from here. Similarly for the virtual machines, and then you can see the containers, networks, and all of those stuff. So you just wanted to know the top 100 VMs, or you just wanted to know the top 10 VMs, so, right? So you can say what are those utilizations, the 95% or those things, because I don't have the data as of now, it won't show you. That's where you have an application insights, then keyboards, all of those cases and everything is coming up there, right? And you can, so there's also just you can go and walk. I can walk you through, but that there's a time limitations, and then demo is much higher, right? We can probably have in some more other sessions as well, right? So this is, if you wanted to have an storage account, this one I can take it, right? And you wanted to know what are the capacity of your VMs. But I really like it, right? The way Microsoft is putting it. So how many transactions we happen, right? What are the latencies in terms of seconds, right? And then if you can see, there's no tools which earlier it can give the capacity, right, of your storage account. Let us say I'll be using in this particular storage account, I'll be using only this. This is my data. What are my blob capacity, file capacity? The file capacity is 5.4 GB, which I will be utilizing it. Right, so just give you a brief, so you will aware of that how many terabytes of data or the petabytes of data, or what are the data per storage account you will be utilizing, and then you can go and segregate those data. As of now, from here you cannot segregate any of those data, because I'm not sure whether it's allow or not. But in terms of just give you the storage capacity, and based on the graphical view, that's it. So if you wanted to add it and all, you can put the custom solutions in place, right? So, and the similarly for the keyboards and other stuffs can be monitored. And then let's just yeah, you can ask your questions, and then we'll move to the next demo.
Yeah, Lalit. So my question was, from Azure Monitor, we can monitor the different Azure services, right?
Right.
So suppose if I want to monitor my services which is running under my in my virtual machine. So from monitoring from Azure Monitor, how can I monitor that and get the alerts?
But it's not possible actually. For that, what you can do is You can enable the diagnostic log if you wanted to. So you can go to the virtual machines and then enable the diagnostic logs where you're not sure whether all the applications will cover, but at least from your IIS log and everything will be covered. So if you just go here and then click on the diagnostic settings where you have to attach to your storage account, right? You just
Mhm.
enable this and then you can see there is an IIS, disk utilization, CPU, memory, all of those utilizations will be there, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know
And
from
they can
from
do it,
from here we can monitor CPU, RAM, disk, these parameters.
right?
But suppose I mean some Windows services is running, right? Suppose my
Yep.
I mean IIS is running, so just wanted to get the alert if my some particular service is getting stopped. So is it possible from
For
Azure
that,
Monitor?
either you can use the third-party tool,
Okay,
or probably I think you can get it from you can set up those alerts into the log analytics and
okay,
probably it just monitor. So that is the two solutions. Even IS logs you can monitor by uh, diagnostic settings as well.
okay.
But it is not that basically it is not that too hard, right?
Okay,
To go into it. Yeah, for Azure Monitor, just mainly for your portal stuffs.
okay, okay. Got it.
Yep.
Thank you, Lalit.
Hey, Lalit,
You're
Raja
welcome.
here.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, Raja.
Hope you are fine doing good. And I'm not sure whether it is related to, going to this topic, but I'm facing uh, a problem in my environment. The problem is like the extensions. We have multiple extensions, right? I mean, Voyage and the extensions.
Right.
In my environments, we have around three to, for example, like now we have around 20 to 30 VMs. Only for Linux VMs, the extensions are going to hung state often. Okay,
Okay.
and the extension first start will go. I mean, for example, in the portal, if you see, it will show us unavailable, and after some time, the VM will go into hung state, and then either you need to restart the VM manually to bring back it, or you need to from the serial console you need to restart. Do you happen to hear this kind of issues from your, for example, any other customers or any other relatives?
Right. Yeah. So basically, what you can do is like you just have to see like what is causing your applications or to stopping those. There might be something inside it which is probably some other applications is causing some issues, or probably your antivirus is causing something which is stopping those extensions, or probably some the older
We thought
updates or
initially,
something which is there. Like you
we thought
can't say
in
that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean you are right. I mean we thought initially maybe like we have this Symantec
Right.
extension and ASR extension installed. So we thought that
Yeah.
okay, like maybe that could be the reason, and we uninstalled the Symantec and the ASR or other stuff. Even after
Right.
we uninstall all the extensions, the issue is still there.
Yep. That's where like you need to see like which applications is causing to crash your extensions. And probably I can take your questions after this demo, and
No,
we do
no
have an
problem.
around 25
Hey,
Go
minutes.
ahead. Yeah, go
hey,
ahead. Go ahead.
Lalit, sorry to interrupt. I have one question. I've been waiting for a while. Hope you don't mind. It's
Uh,
a
yeah, please.
so on the Azure monitor and as well as the security center, how does it function? Is there a charges like for using that services, or like is it mapped to a specific storage account, or work in terms of costing part?
Yeah, I'll walk you through all of those. So security centers, yes, obviously there will be a charges. Even though even for the Azure monitor, is charges will be there because for la- for if you wanted to monitor for the 30 days, there won't be any charges because the data will be resides there, and then based on that it will utilize. But let's just say if you wanted to archive some of the data and then monitor it, yeah, obviously there will be charges. But Azure Monitor is a free services, and you don't have to enable it that services because it's just it will show you the portal health. But when you have to add your VMs and those alerts, if you wanted to monitor it, just go and monitor. Like how I have shown you, I didn't edit manually any of those services, right? Even the storage account, right, into the monitor. It just automatically pick up. So it is in working on the automatic steps where you don't have to pay for the monitor, but obviously yes, for the security center you have to pay. So I didn't add it. It just automatically pick up from the services. And as of now, it's free. So you can just based on your services health and all, you can get it.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So I think someone is also raised in hand. Nirmal, I think. Okay. So let's just go get started with the demo. So this is your security center, and then you can,
Hello.
have your subscriptions. Yes.
Hello. Actually, I have a question. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, in this security center, sorry, in this alerting system, you are showing the alerting for entire subscription. Suppose I want to create alert based on the Microsoft services. So, services has been degraded. That alert should come to me or my any one of the organization people who are in the contributor access. Okay,
Right.
but in my case, at the that 20th of this May, there is a problem with Microsoft that Central India having some problem.
Right.
So I already configured that alerting, but that alerting has been configured for a particular resource group, not for entire subscription.
Yeah, probably you have selected this resource group only, not for the
No,
subscription.
there was no option for selecting the entire subscription.
See, it's always depends. If you want me to show you, I'll show you that how you can configure those alert on the subscription level.
Just you
But
can you please
yeah,
show
I
me?
can. Yeah. Just give us some time. Let me just finish this demo, and probably if we'll get some time, I'll show it here, or else just ping me. I'll walk you through that how you can configure on the subscription level. But those security health alert, you can go and configure it from the subscription as well as the resource group level. So obviously, I can just help you. Probably you might miss a few of the points there. I'll help you in that. So let's just let me walk you through this. What is this security center? Will help you, right? So in this, it is pretty much vast, and you can see there is policies and the compliance where you can just where you can have this the policies and compliance demo part, and then you'll have an the policies and the regulatory compliant based on your ISO, PCI, and Azure CIS, and then I'll have in subscriptions. So the total subscriptions will be covered by two. I have a two subscription which been covered, and all of those services will be there, right? And what does other parts is these are the this is just in dashboard. So you have the resource hygiene and then healthy resources and what are the monitoring in terms of network. And this features is I did not get any alert, so as of now there's no threat protections will come, right? Even I'll walk you through a few of them. So if I'll click off any of those, let's just say if I wanted to see that what are the alerts, the recommendations which I got, right? There are two controls which I wanted to put in, and if you can see, right, these are the it's just saying you don't have enable MFA, the secure management ports which reduce like so. It's just saying you don't have other things. If I'll click on the quick fix, it will just walk me through to this particular VM, right? It just say, and then it will ask me to remediate. Either you can put in the logic app, so it's just saying you enable the jet on a particular VM. As of now, I don't wanted to do it, but let's just say if I wanted to do it for this 3389, right? Again, this is my one port for the VM, and then I'll just click on add, and here I can have my VMs and then the IP addresses range there, right? So let's just say if I have some CIDR kind of, and here I can allow those jet and time. So once I'll do that, my VM will be enabled for 6 hours, 8 hours, or 22 hours. After that, it will automatically block all the NSG, and then you will not be able to access. That's where you can, the whatever the RDP attacks is happening, you can save it, right? So is this, in terms of your vulnerability, encryption at rest, this is for probably it's for the storage account, the disk encryptions of the VMs is not there. And then it'll have an management access, right? So all of those stuffs will be there, which you can get into this particular portal and things. You will to fix those issues, and just see on the networking part, right? Where you can have this one virtual machines which has an you can see the topologies and all of network parts here, right? And then just take a couple more minutes to map it, and then you got all of those stuffs in terms of the network or the data and all, whereas will have an coverage, right? Where those are the subscriptions which you have covered, whether it is partially. You can see if the subscriptions been fully covered. I did not do it, and then you'll have an secure access, right? So whereas these are the subscriptions and the recommendations for, you can see the recommendations for each subscriptions. Once it will give you the recommendations, what you can do, you can just say enable all of those alerts, so it will improve your score, and then you can download those reports into the CSV and probably show it to your manager. And then you'll have policies. You can, let's just say, if I put in some policies in this particular subscriptions, and that will be inherited to the this, and then we'll have an regulatory compliance, where you can see these are the Azure CIS, PCI, and DDS, and all of those stuffs are there. It will clearly show that where's the problem and what are the controls you put in, right? Just say you don't have these things which is comes into the PCI, and then you have to ensure the disk will be encrypted. That is also comes in. So even you can manage your auditing parts as well, and Azure Security Centers does that as well. And similarly, these are the recommendations which I have shown you, right? And that part, and then you'll have in just-in-time adapted applications, all of those stuff probably when we have a security center specific video sessions, I'll walk you through in all of those sessions. And then let me just walk you through the policies you have. Uh, so if you wanted to enable some of the policies, Azure policies, right? If you can see here, I have enabled multiple of my policies here, but you can see that 95, 97% I'm compliant, and rest of I'm not. So what are this ACS policies is showing to me, right? That what are the resources. So I have, these are the resources which is non-compliant. Let's just say DDoS standard protections is not enabled. It is up to you whether you wanted to enable or not. You can edit the assignment and they say that you don't require. So you can say no need to edit, no need to audit, and then you'll have just in time and kind of other stuff which is there. If you wanted to create in policies, what you can do is you can click on the assignments here quickly and go to an assign policies. Here you can give you the assigned policies, what are the policies, and the things are there. You can just select the scope for you. Either it is for your, you can select the subscription, or you can put it for the tenant level, basically the management group level. This is your management group, right? So I'll just say yes, as you can select here. And then if I wanted to exclude any of those policies or any of my resource group, or let's just say a complete subscription, if I wanted to exclude, I just click on into the add scope, and then that policies will not be implemented to this. Then what you can do is you can define your policies here, and let's just say you wanted to know what are the VMs it does not have disaster recovery, or you wanted to know what are the VMs it does not have the backup. I'll just click that policies, right? Here I just click on enable or the disable of the policies. I'll just click on next, and here is two things will come, right? Audit not exist. It means it just go, and that particular policies is not exist, or let's just say backup is not enabled, just come and tell me. Either I can disable it. So if I don't want it to enable these policies, I can disable it, right? So I'll just click on review, and then I'll just quickly click and create here. So once I'll do it, my policies will be implemented and it will be refreshed in a few minutes. So you can see, right, this policy is being implemented. It will take a couple more minutes to get all those assignments and all. There's the definitions of the policies, where you can multiple of policies which you have defined, or you initiate the policies for the SQL Server, SQL database, transparent and kind of encryptions, and then update whatever should be the updates installed, and ensure the registers to be API apps, and like a lot of other policies are there. You just if you just go through it, those policies, right? You can see the definitions of those policies, right? You can assign. So these are the the JSON which is there. So that you're saying, right? The deploy is not exist. Whether this particular encryption is enabled or not. If not, this just whether is this deployed or not. So just go and check the deployment part as well, right? So that's where this policies will help. And then let's just quickly view on this blueprint part, and then we'll take the couple of questions, right? So we wanted to create a blueprint, right? It is for the deployment as well as for your resources. Let's just say if I wanted to do it for the VNet configurations, even you can see right here, I'll have Azure security benchmark, you have Fed, RAMPI, and then HIPAA, and all of those stuffs. You can audit whatever the cover, whatever you wanted to, even UK officials, all those policies are there. I just have to enable, put the maps on your create the blueprints, assign it, and you are done. And it will do all those audits, right? So what I'll do is I'll just create one quickly, one blueprint, and then we'll take the questions if anyone has anything. So I'll just go and click on this blueprint. Even you can create your own template, just selecting the blank template. I'll just say India Mentor training, right? And then I can define the locations. I'll just select by default this, but I can, if you wanted me to select, I can select this subscriptions too. And then I'll click on artifacts here. You can see that by default there's an artifacts. If I wanted to add one more artifacts here, what I'll do is I have these three artifacts, either a policy management, a role management, or this. If I wanted to, while creating this VNet, I wanted to give the access to someone as an owner. Let's just say I give it as an owner access. Whatever the users are there, I just say this one. Let's just quickly pick up my email ID, and then I'll just put in there. I'll just say add. Please assign him the owner access for this particular VNet. Even if I wanted to enable and policies, even we can do that for the Azure policies, right? Here, what are the policies? I just select for the network, right? So cognitive services or network traffic data collections to be installed on recommendations applied on this, right? All of those stuffs which if I wanted to, let's just say app services should be on virtual network endpoint, I just assign these policies. So with that also it will deploy that endpoint as well. App services endpoint will be enabled, right? And then I'll just click on go and click on the draft part. I'll just save as a draft. It'll take couple more minutes to save this. Once this is done, I'll just go and click on the assign blueprint, right? And let's just see the blueprint win, the definitions wins there, right? This is for India Mentor trainings. I'll click on that part. Once I done it, what I'll do is I'll just click on the publish blueprint, and I'll just say India Mentor V2, and then I'll click on publish. And even after publishing also, I'll just deploy this things. Once I'll publish my blueprint, I'll just click on assign the blueprints, right? and then we are just going and creating. So once I click on the this one, it is asking me for the subscription. An assignment name would be, I can change also, but I just don't want. Okay, now it's important what whether you wanted to log this assignment. So if you put it the lock of this assignment, apart from you, no one will be able to change, right? That's where the security things will come into this picture. And you just give the user system management, because if you put it at the system management, directly go and get those owner access for the subscription for the temporary basis and deploy and then remove it. If you put it on the associate user, here you need to select which user you wanted to give the access, right? So you can have those subscriptions, and then the name you have to user. So let's just say probably I don't have access. So kind of those things, the settings you have to put it. What I'll do, I'll just go with the system, and then here the value should be there. The name, I'll just say name enter, and then resource group will be taken by locations will be in East US, right? These are the parameters I just quickly, and these are the policies audit it will do, and then this address spaces which is there for subnets and the vnets and the subnets. I'll just quickly go and click on assign. Once I'll click on assign, my deployment will be initiated, and you can see in a 5 to 10 minutes it just go and deploy the vnets, right? And I can show you that as well. Just wait for a couple more minutes to get this assignment started. In between, yeah, anyone has any questions, please you can raise your query.
Well, there is a question from Neeraj. He just wanted to know where we create security policies. Is it on RG layer or management layer?
The security policies,
Yeah, where we can create security policies on RG layer or management layer.
it's an Azure layer, right?
Yeah.
So basically, the management security policies are there's two types of those policies you can define in, right? Either you can put it into the Azure level, let's just say for the resource group level, or for the subscription level, right? Even for if you have in security centers as well, right? So those security policies being associated to your security centers. So until unless your policies can't be defined there, that will audit and everything will not be happen. So in that case, you can put it onto the security centers while configuring it. Even you can put it on the subscriptions or the resource group level. uh, is that what I understand the questions is, right? Hope this will help you in answer.
Yeah, maybe
The policies can be.
Neeraj got the answer. Yeah. So Neeraj saying thanks. Thanks. So Neeraj got the answers. So Amit is asking, can we deploy Blueprint only on one subscription or on multiple subscriptions?
Inside the one tenant, if you have a hundreds of subscription, yes, you have to create the management group, and as I have shown you, right? So let's just say I'm creating, let's just say I'm just editing this one which I created, right? So I'll just click on edit. So there you have to select the root management, and under that, whatever the subscriptions you have, right? It's in artifacts. So now this is the subscription level, right? Here, if you can, I cannot edit one, right? But if you wanted to enable it with the management layer, yes, you can do it. That is also possible. So you can have to put those your policies and the part, all of those stuff on the root management. And once you have those root management layer, right? Let's just say here I'm going to define the locations, right? You can see, right? That is on the subscriptions. But if you select this root management group, right? Under this root management, whatever the subscriptions you have, just go and deploy. So that's where you can manage. The same I have put you in the graphical view as well, right? So you can deploy to the multiple subscriptions as well. But the based on that, but you have to define the management group first to deploy to the multiple subscription. That's supposed to, if your all the subscriptions are in the same tenant. Hope you got the answer, Amit.
Yes, Amit said yes. Next is Kozal. Kozal, you can unmute if you want to ask any question.
Actually, in my question is that is this blueprint can be reflected in the security center? Suppose in the security center that some predefined rule has been defined, and based on that rule and diagnostics and scanning, the Microsoft generate itself a report kind of scenario and some recommendation also. So whatever the blueprint I have created here, can it be reflected security center?
See, blueprint is only for your auditing and this parts, right? But if you wanted the policies and all to be applied into the security centers, you can use the Azure policies, right? And but blueprint and the security centers, as of now, I don't see any integrations. Or if it is there, then I was not aware of it. But whatever the my investigation is, as of now, they won't connect each other. Only the Azure policies you can implement to the security centers, which is to on your tenant or the subscriptions which will inherit it.
Okay, I have another question. Suppose I have created one user in my Active Directory domain controller, means this domain, Azure Active Directory domain. Okay, uh, so Azure Directory Service, one user I have created here, and the new features that comes with very new features that with that Azure user I can log into my VM. For security scenario, I have created the MFA also for the same. Now my question is that if it is possible to log in to every VM, can I have the monitoring or log level diagnostics?
Voice is
So
breaking.
what time he has been access to the which VM? Entire monitoring, can it be done from Azure? Hello, is it okay?
Yeah. Can you just repeat your
Okay.
questions in a couple of words? So let me just rephrase your questions. You wanted to know you have an user and you wanted to know from when he has logged into the which systems. You have hundreds of systems. We can do it from the Azure, right?
That is true, but one another parameter is added there. That user are belongs to the my Azure Active Directory user. So
Okay.
the new features has been come to the Azure portal that I can use that Azure Active Directory user for logging to my VM, right? So
Right.
in this environment, I have created multiple user and I want to monitor every user login and every activity.
You can see you can do that, but that for you might require an Azure governance or the audit logs, which you can I think you can do that, but I'm not sure because it just log into this. But if someone is logging to the portal and all and doing some activities, we interact, right? So I think it might be possible, but I'm not sure about it. Probably I can give you an answer on that part as well. But as of now, that is possible that you can enable the monitoring, like you can enable the logging into this. So if he's logging in, obviously uh, the logging in logs will be captured to the Azure AD. For that, you might need in the additional capacity of Azure, which is the Azure governance and then audit logs kind of stuffs, probably.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, as we have already completed this blueprint assignments. Let me just show you a couple of things. So, I'll just click on the blueprint here. And if I can see this assignment, right? So you can see right my this assignment implementer training and all of those things being succeeded. I can see the logs and all if I wanted to, right? So there's a logs. It's been went there and deployed the VM. Even I can update and assign and do all of those stuffs. So let's just see how this whether my VNet is created or not. I'll just click on the virtual network here, right? And now you can see that this is the Indementer RG and all of those stuffs being created. successfully. So I didn't deploy anything from the portal. I just took out the template and then configure it, and then obviously everything will be taken care. So this is our subnet also been deployed, right? This is automatically we can. I didn't modified any of those things. So 251 IP is there, right? The address space which we have defined, it's there. So even it's wonderfully you can utilize, even you can deploy the multiple services using your ARM template, but you have to define those ARM template and you can utilize your custom templates as well, right? So that's where all of those stuffs will come up. So we can take another. We will just have another 5 more minutes, and then we can just wind up the session. And if you have any questions, we can just cover up in those 5 minutes. If it is fine for you, Gaurav or Shubi.
Yeah, we are fine. Guys, if we have any kind of questions, please type or ask. Unmute yourself and ask the questions.
If is it possible to show that alerting for the entire subscription?
Okay, just give me 1 minute. So I'm just going through this particular one, and then here you can see, right? You have the subscriptions. So whatever the subscriptions you wanted to select those subscriptions. Here are the all the actions you wanted to enable. You wanted action group, alerts, advisor, or all of those stuffs. And then there will be multiple services as well, right? You can just those things.
No,
So these are
this
the
is
Azure services which is there, right?
no,
Yep.
everything is populated here, but at the end,
Okay.
whenever I have to put the logic for sending mail, so that time I found that only one option is there, that is for selecting the one resource group, not for the
No,
entire.
no, no, no. You have see when you just go in this way. I'm not going to select any of the resource group. Let's just say if I wanted to put in the action group, that's it. See, if I'll create an action group, I don't have one. I can create one and then I can show you, right? So let's just say Azure agent action, right? I'll just put the same name here. I'll just show you that how can we can create this. And then here it's a subscription. It's just even not showing in the resource group, right? If you're putting into this. And here is the default resource group. This resource group, why it is asking, because where it is going in creating those logs, okay, that resource group for that only. It is not that only for the resource group you put in logs.
Not,
Your voice is breaking.
Guys, like we are running a short out of time, so if you have any kind of question, please reach directly to either Lalit or do write in our Telegram group. So we will get connected you with directly with speaker, and you will get your answers.
Hello,
Uh,
I had asked two questions. Can I get answers, please?
yes, Ganjan.
Gajanan.
Gajanan, sorry.
So very first question is, if I am not getting all the ADDS features, local AD servers features in Azure Domain Service, what is the main point that I should go for the Azure Domain Service? Why should I go? So 2 3 points. I want to convince my manager.
See, you shouldn't go. See, it's always depends. See, the things is you have to understand first. Have to understand your requirement. You cannot convince your manager to go in there. Similarly, if you have an Azure Active Directory on premise, you go and create the VM in Azure and deploy the Azure AD, and your manager will be happy. Because in Azure DS is a PaaS services, Active Directory Domain Services. Yes, there might be a chances that the few of the features will not be available, and then Microsoft is working on those parts, and probably you'll get it in the near future. But if you
Like
need it in the immediate task, right? That
mhm,
is even I cannot answer that questions, right? So the alternative way is you can just go create the Azure AD, create the VM, install
mhm,
the AD, extend
Mhm,
your on-premises activity similarly how you're doing, right? In the
mhm,
on-premises we are 2 AD, how you're integrating, right?
mhm.
Configure VNet, the pairing, like the express route
Um,
or the VNet,
Yes, yes, yes,
VNet to
yes, yes.
VNet, and then
Mhm,
extend it to on-premises to Azure AD, and then
mhm,
configure your DNS all of, and then let your whatever your Azure applications you configure the DNS to first it will go to your Azure Active Directory, which is there in the VM, and then the on-premises one will go to on-premises, like how you wanted to configure. But ADDS part, Microsoft can answer it because they just
mhm.
wanted to, you should aware of, and then the features should be coming from them, not me.
Okay. So what is popular? Azure Domain Service or ADDS on the Azure Cloud?
Uh, Sorry, like, can you just repeat
Uh,
your questions?
Azure Domain Service is a pass service, feature of pass, correct? P,
Right.
platform as a service. So that is popular or uh, Azure ADDS on the Azure Cloud? What is more used?
ADDS on the Azure cloud is also a platform as a services. Okay.
Okay, but we create a VM.
So
We set a
yeah,
VM.
if you create a VM, it's an IaaS, right? So
Correct. Huh?
it's always depends on the customer requirement which they wanted to go. Basically, if you don't wanted to manage multiple of VMs and kind of stuff, you can go on the
Mhm,
platform as a
mhm,
services path, right? And it is very to customer, right?
huh,
And let's just say if you have the customer, they wanted to go and completely managed by Azure, where the databases they'll create, right? The managed instance they can create. But what will happen, right? When you wanted an VM, your let's just say your customer want that how my on-premises environment in Azure down, the same VM should be there. In that case, you should go on, decide there. But if you see some of the features which is benefiting to the customer, you can propose them, and then they will be okay. They'll go through those features. And if it's the cost wising, it is not impacting much. Let's just say they
mhm,
have a SAP HANA or kind of wider, larger kind of stuffs which they wanted to deploy. Rather
mhm.
than they can utilize the past services, which might be little bit it not that much costlier than the VM. That's where you can decide the performance wise, the cost optimizations wise, and then the manageability, right? And those criteria you can decide those things.
Okay. On the Azure Cloud Service, suppose any VM goes down, what are the chances to get it up
If from where?
from
See,
Azure
any
Cloud?
of the services, if it is going down from the Azure services, what you can do is it will be up because it's based on if it is data center down or your VMs, you user someone is did it. So it's all you can decide, and then you can take the backup, you can configure it, you can restore
Okay.
it, all of those services. Probably
Okay.
that can be take the final questions, and even thank you so much for all the people who has joined us, and thank you so much India Mentor team for extending in another 10 more minutes. I can understand all of the participants that you guys have questions more, and then if you request, we can have another sessions on this part, and probably all of this. If you have any of the topics which you want us to cover, please you can write it on the Indian Mentor email, which been shared by Subi, and then we can come up with you, and then we'll answer all of those questions and the queries. So whomever I did not connect, I'm really sorry because we just running out of time. But thank you so much, all of you, for having here, and thank you so much for joining these sessions in very short notice. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.